from statutory meeting requirements.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Lamonia. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
I'll entertain a motion on the appeal pursuant to Policy 512.
I move to uphold the superintendent's decision.
Is there a second? Seconded by Dr. Walker. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Next, I'll entertain a motion on the appeal pursuant to Policy 9-21.
I propose we keep the superintendent.
Is there a second? Seconded by Dr. Walker. Dr. Walker? Mrs. Scott, apologies. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
If there are no additional items, we will move on to the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I see none. At this time, I'd like to call upon Reverend Dr. Tommy Smith from Divine Baptist Church, who will give the opening invocation. Afterward, I'll ask Diamond Bell, a fifth grader from Camelot Elementary, to lead us in the pledge. Please stand as you are able.
Let us pray. Almighty God, creator of the universe, giver of every good gift and perfect gift, we praise and thank you for life, health, and strength. And I preface this prayer this evening with a personal thanks for the veterans past and present, whom we celebrated just a few days ago, thanking them for their service. And I would be derelict in my duties if I did not take a moment and thank the members of this body for their selfless service. Bless them in their endeavors, guide them in their discussions, enlighten their minds with your wisdom. Grant them a portion of your grace that they may effectively conduct their duties as public servants who lead by example. Bless their plans, their programs, and special projects so all may achieve their goals and objectives. We pause and pray for peace in the Middle East, peace that surpasses all human understanding, to guard their hearts and minds. We seek your will in all that we do. In that holy and precious name we do pray. Amen.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much to Reverend Smith and Diamond for taking time out of your evening to join us. We appreciate it. We are now moving on to awards and recognitions. The first item is the memorial resolution. Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At the request of the superintendent, I have prepared a resolution honoring the life and service of one of our esteemed employees, Mrs. Christy Kramer Bradshaw, who served as a teacher at Southwestern Elementary School before her recent passing. We have several special guests who have joined us for tonight's presentation. Before I read the resolution, I would like to invite Dr. Callie Ream, Assistant Principal of Southwestern Elementary School, to the podium to say a few words.
Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Cotton, Chair Swigert, Vice Chair Mercer, and members of the board. My name is Dr. Callie Ream, and I am the proud assistant principal at Southwestern Elementary School. I am here tonight to represent our SWE Bruin family, and I am here tonight to honoring and saluting one of our very own, Mrs. Christy Bradshaw. As you can see and might be wondering, yes, I'm wearing an apron before you this evening. Well, aprons, they were very synonymous with Mrs. Bradshaw, and very rarely would you ever see her not donning one of her signature pieces, for it was in her apron that she kept everything she needed for her students. Let me give you some examples. Things like, let me see here. Let's see. Band-Aids. For every bump, every bruise, every cut, every boo-boo, Mrs. Bradshaw had the cure for it. Right here in her apron. Not only did she care about how her students grew academically, but she genuinely cared for them as little people. She also had things like, hold on, I'm not done. Hold on, I got more stuff. Hold on. She had things like stickers, and we have possum behavior Bruin tickets. She always rewarded positive student behavior and choices at every opportunity. You would often hear her praise students for showing outstanding Bruin behavior. I'll just practice that. In that classic, sweet Southern drawl of a voice. Mrs. Bradshaw cared about her students and their social emotional well-being, and she always saw the best in her students and encouraged them to reach their full potential each and every day. And let's see, still more. She had it all. What else? We have books. Finally, Curious George. She always had a book with her. Mrs. Bradshaw always encouraged her students to imagine the world beyond what they could see. And she kept it all right here in her apron. Mrs. Bradshaw's character epitomized kindness, caring, compassion, and grace for her students and her coworkers. It is for these reasons and so many more that Mrs. Bradshaw will live on in the hearts and the minds of all of our students. Thank you for this opportunity tonight to honor the memory of such a remarkable educator, Mrs. Christy Bradshaw.
Thank you, Dr. Ream. At this time, I would also like to invite members of Mrs. Bradshaw's family who have joined us tonight to please come up to the podium with Dr. Ream for the reading of the resolution. And now I'll read the resolution. Be it known to all persons that we, the members of the Chesapeake School Board, here assembled on this 13th day of November 2023, do hereby pay tribute to the life and memory of Mrs. Christy Kramer Bradshaw. Whereas Mrs. Christy Bradshaw graduated from Old Dominion University in 1991 with a bachelor's degree in elementary education, then continued her education at the George Washington University, where in 1995 she earned a master's degree in elementary education. Whereas she served as an elementary teacher at Deep Creek Intermediate School, Deep Creek Central Elementary School, B.M. Williams Primary School, and Southwestern Elementary School, where she served the children, their parents, and others with distinction and honor for 23 years. Whereas during Mrs. Bradshaw's last 10 years of teaching at Southwestern Elementary School, she served as grade level chairperson and was very passionate about nurturing and inspiring every child. And whereas she was highly esteemed by her colleagues, students, and friends as an invaluable asset to the school system and to the community, and will always be remembered for her gentleness, smile, special gift of making everyone feel important, love for all children, and love of learning. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the members of the School Board of the City of Chesapeake, do gratefully acknowledge her service to the school system and extend to her family our heartfelt sympathy at her passing. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be made a part of the minutes of this date, and the original be presented to her family as evidence of our esteem and reverence for the memory of Mrs. Christy Kramer Bradshaw. This resolution, Madam Chair, is attested by each member of the school board, our superintendent, and the clerk of the board, and at this time I respectfully request adoption of the resolution.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Mr. Lamonia. Is there a second? Second. Seconded across the board. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes. Dr. Ream, at this time, I would ask that you please invite Mr. Bradshaw and his family to meet the members of the board.
I want to thank the Bradshaw family for being here with us tonight, and we want to thank the additional family that we know didn't stand, but we know that there are many of you here, and we thank you all for being here with us and for sharing Mrs. Bradshaw with us. And we just thank you for everything that you've given through that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This concludes my item.
We will now move on to the public hearing. Dr. Smith, are there any citizens who have requested time to speak under the public hearing section this evening?
No, ma'am, we have no citizens signed up to speak for public hearing.
With no speakers here, we will move on to the consent agenda. Thank you.
Likewise, we have no speakers signed up for hearing of citizens tonight.
Apologies for the little bump in procedure there. Now we will move on to the consent agenda. Motion for approval made by Mr. Mercer. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lamonia. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Okay, we are now moving on to the information agenda. The first item this evening is the WHRO presentation. Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight, I would like to ask Mr. Bert Schmidt, President and CEO at WHRO, to come forward. Mr. Schmidt is here to make a presentation on the services offered by WHRO. A copy of the WHRO Annual Impact Statement is loaded in board docs for your review. Thank you for being here tonight, Mr. Schmidt. The floor is yours.
Chairman Swigert, Dr. Cotton, members of the board, thank you for allowing me to speak with you today. My name is Bert Schmidt. I'm the president and CEO of WHRO. With me, he was with me. I think he was concerned about the technology. Elmer Seward is my vice president of technology, and he's coming back. Good, because he's my backup if you have any very hard questions. So you have, as mentioned, you have this document in board docs. If you need to print it out, it's about 15 pages. You probably don't need to, but I'm here. I come to you every other year just to give you a summary of what you'd find in that document. The main reason I come to you, though, is for those of you who are new may not realize that Chesapeake is one of the 21 school divisions that literally own the license to WHRO. We're the only media company, commercial or non-commercial, in the entire country owned by collaboration of school divisions where we get together with the 21 school superintendents, school board representatives, and we talk together as a region about things that we can do together rather than doing it 21 different times. And then WHRO is asked to provide you services. I want to summarize for you some of those services. So we start with eMedia VA. eMedia VA is a service we've been offering for over a decade now. We have a contract with the Department of Education to offer this. We provide digital learning objects to your teachers, to your students and parents. Over 100,000 learning objects, all correlated to the Virginia Standards of Learning. We partner with national organizations like Smithsonian, National Archives, Library of Congress, but more importantly, we partner with all sorts of local Virginia organizations, taking their education content, putting it in one place for your teachers to easily get access to digital content to be used in the classroom. Again, this service is something that the superintendents and school board members asked for well over a decade ago and is used last year over 2 million times. And of course, during COVID was invaluable. We have a lot of services around early childhood learners. Field trips are really hard nowadays, and we've got kind of the reverse field trips. We have 3 vans that go out, a STEM van, a literacy van, and an environmental science van. These vans come out, work with your K through 3 students in particular, and coordinate with your educators to provide fun lessons. You can see the vans have all the characters that they all know well, Elmo and Big Bird and all the rest of the characters. So anytime you want us to come out, well, Dr. Cotton knows how to get a hold of me, and we're happy to bring the vans out and work with your youngest. During COVID, we used to be able, before COVID, we used to read a lot of stories to young kids. We couldn't during COVID. We started a series called Miss Martha Reads, where the head of my Children's Services Department, Martha Razor, now every Friday on Facebook does a series of stories she reads, stories written by elementary school kids, which I'll talk about in a minute. And this gets about 10,000 hits every week. It's gotten a real following over the years. We provide lots of professional development to your teachers. You can see a list of sampling from what we did last year. More than 50 different sessions were conducted last year. Many of them now are done online. That's the way a lot of learning is happening. We still occasionally do some in our building. One of the big things that has been asked for over the years are online courses. We have developed for you 27 online high school, mostly high school, a few middle school courses. You can see the full list there. We're the manufacturer. Think of us that way. We make the courses and we give them to you. And based on whatever your policies are, you've got these courses already built. They work within your learning management system. It can be fully online, flipped, hybrid, whatever your policies are. We're in the process right now of finalizing our environmental science course, which will get delivered at the end of this school year. And then we've got a couple more courses that are in the pipeline around data science. So those will be coming out in the next few years. There's a lot of updates, as you probably know. The Department of Education has done a lot of SOL updates recently, so that's keeping us very busy, making sure all of our courses are kept up to speed, especially math and then upcoming history SOL changes. Here, I hope it's going to work, is a sampling of what we're going to talk about our courses. This video you're about to see is specifically about economics and personal finance, but the traits within this video could apply to any of the courses that we offer to you.
WHRO's digital learning team creates high-quality, engaging content used by teachers, students, families, and administrators across Virginia. Economics and Personal Finance is a full-year online course that is one example of WHRO content utilized by school divisions. This course has 13 modules filled with videos, learning objects, content, learning activities, assessments, reflections, and more. This digital content is aligned with Virginia's standards of learning, promotes Virginia's 5 C's, and provides students with multiple opportunities to demonstrate their knowledge of materials through real-world, authentic experiences. Students begin their studies in the course overview, where they discover how to navigate the course. They also meet TJ, a high school student, and his peers who are involved in an after-school economics and personal finance club. Students learn from TJ's financial decisions and mistakes through the comedic videos at the beginning of each module. Each module has several topics or lessons that allow students to check their knowledge before receiving an assignment. At the end of each module, students either complete a project, test, or both related to all of the module topics. There's also a module reflection where students can analyze what they have learned and make connections between the content and their everyday life. The module summary provides a digest of module information and prepares students for the next module. In addition to the intriguing content, a student resources section is filled with tools to help students with assignments and projects. We also create an instructor's guide to assist the teachers. WHRO's digital learning team works diligently to design aesthetically appealing content that represents people from diverse cultures and ethnicities and provides multiple learning pathways. Additionally, our content is fully accessible and includes options for students, like using a keyboard for navigation, providing ADA-compliant transcripts, printables, closed captioning, descriptive alt tags, reducing cognitive fatigue, and much more. Fortunately, our team can install our digital content into multiple learning management systems. This skill set helps us meet the needs of school divisions and provides options to use our content entirely online.
Okay, I guess we're going to stop that video early. Sorry about that. The magic. That's okay. We'll just go forward. Don't worry about playing it again. Please don't play it again. I'm moving forward. There we go. All right. That video was focused on economics and personal finance, but all the 27 courses have those same attributes. So again, you have them. They're on your servers. You use them however you see fit within your own online learning policies. So with these courses, of course, we want to make sure that the end user is going to find these engaging. So we have a student advisory board made up of students from around the region that meet with my team regularly to review the content. Is it engaging? Does it get students excited about learning? And so we meet with them very regularly to make sure these courses are quite engaging. So the PBS Kids Writers Contest, I talked about Martha Razor earlier. She reads these stories on Facebook. Well, it's a result of our PBS Kids Writers Contest where children K through 5, they write and illustrate stories. They send them in. There's a judging panel. We do a TV show for the winners, and those stories then get read by Martha. But we've been doing that for about 15 years now. We love celebrating smart kids. The spelling bee, we've been going, this will be our 17th year coming up in the fall. It is the time now for your middle schools to get signed up if they haven't already. This is the time of the year you get signed up. Then you'll have your middle school bees locally, and then the champs of your middle school bees will come to HRO in the spring for the regional bees, and the winner of that bee goes to the national spelling bee later or in May. Here's a quick video.
SPELLINGBEE.
Correct.
Each year, middle school students from across the region compete for the opportunity to represent our area in the Scripps National Spelling Bee. The stage is set and the competition is fierce. Who will take home the title of Spelling Bee champion?
Watch the WHRO Spelling Bee.
Watch the Spelling Bee April 1st.
Watch the Spelling Bee April 1st at 2 p.m. on WHRO.
I think we have some folks trying out to be on my air pretty soon. Another way we celebrate smart kids is with the Great Computer Challenge. Some of you may be of the age that you participated in this because it's year 30.
This is
39 years. So some of you weren't born yet. But this is K through 12. Student teams come together from all the divisions throughout the area, and they compete in various software programs and languages. They get to spend some good time on the ODU campus, many for the first time to be on the campus for any length of time. And it's a great way to celebrate all these smart kids. You see the trophies they get. Half those trophies are bigger than the kids that win them. So it's a fun. We do an elementary, junior division, then we do a senior division with middle and high schoolers. As board members, you care about your return on investment. You invest in WHRO $3 per student. On page 13 of your impact statement, you'll see that for every dollar you invest, you return savings in value of $8.25. So we hope you like that investment. I hope your investment manager is doing as well as we are with you. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions you might have. One other just note for those of you who are relatively new. A couple of years ago, Dr. Cotton and I worked out an arrangement where WHRO now runs WFOS, the local radio station out of Chesapeake. We're thrilled with the results. It's going strong. It's got a bigger audience than it ever had. And some of the radio talent back in the day when it was here is still in our air. So we're very happy about that relationship. So I'm happy to take any questions.
I see no questions for Mr. Schmidt. Thank you so much for that presentation. There's a lot of great information in there. We appreciate everything that you and your team do.
Great. Thank you very much.
The next item on the information agenda is the Activity Funds Audit. Mrs. Lucente.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to invite Brittany Gregson from the accounting firm of Forvis. She will give us a report on the status of the completion of the school activity funds audit. Before she begins, I'd like to thank Tammy Rodriguez and Tracy Hamilton, who provide a great deal of support to our principals and their bookkeepers in the completion of the audit and managing the funds during the year. Thanks.
Thank you. So my name is Brittany Gregerson. I'm a senior manager with Forvis. For those of you who aren't familiar with the name, it stands for Forward Vision. So we used to be known in the area as Dixon Hughes Goodman, so just if you didn't recognize the name. So I'm happy to say here, you all should have 2 packages that you received. Not going to go over them in a ton of detail. They look pretty similar to what you've seen in prior years. And I know you guys have a lot on the agenda tonight, so I'm just going to hit the key points here. We had the opportunity to go out and visit each of the schools between late June and early August. So we get to go out and visit with the bookkeeper and the principal at each of those schools and doing testing and inquiry and various procedures at each school. We're happy to say that we've issued an unmodified audit opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that we're able to provide. Overall, the student activities funds saw about a 2.5% increase in the overall funds that were available for student activities, but pretty comparable to prior years and pre-COVID, so kind of normalizing back to where we saw those pre-COVID. The report to the board, while it looks a little bit different maybe in the presentation, the information that's in that report is very similar to what it is in prior years. It's more so just looks a little bit more like a presentation than a report. But this is our opportunity that if we had identified any issues that we had encountered throughout the audit, we were unable to obtain adequate support or had any difficulties with management or had any control recommendations, this would be our opportunity to address those with you. And from an audit perspective, there's kind of 3 different types of control areas. You've got a material weakness, which is kind of your highest, significant deficiencies, and then you've got kind of other deficiencies. We're happy to say we did not identify any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, but we do like to always offer the opportunity for any deficiencies and any kind of recommendations that we've encountered throughout the process. Typically, the ones that get elevated to this report here are things that we've seen maybe occurring at more than one school or have seen happening for more than 1 year. And then there's some other just general verbal comments that are presented to management that are less severe. So the items that we did note here were just the monitoring of deficit balances. So from time to time, certain funds, while the overall school still has cash, certain funds may be in a deficit position at the end of the year. So just being mindful and monitoring of that. So one fund is not overspending while another fund doesn't have enough money and another needs to maybe have a transfer or needs to earn some more money to be able to do whatever that activity is. Another area, and we've seen it for several years, is just the overall segregation of duties. The majority of the money is going through the bookkeeper. We're happy to say that there are adequate controls in place with the principal and certain compensating controls at the school board level to ensure that when cash is being dispersed, that there's proper signature and approval in that. But just with the nature of a lot of cash going in and out with the bookkeepers, that is an audit risk from our perspective. And then the other item that I just think is kind of a recommendation is for certain faculty expenditures and funds. So there's controls in place that if faculty wants to raise money through fundraising or a Jeans Day or various activities to be able to have a faculty or staff event, there's separate accounts that are set up from that. And from time to time, there's going to be transfers that are authorized by the principal. And ultimately, just making sure that there's proper controls in place. If there's, over a certain dollar threshold, that if, a principal wants to transfer funds for the use of faculty purposes, maybe that needs to be elevated to another person outside of the school, maybe in the school board or management position. So those were really our only recommendations and findings that we have. Again, none of those raised to the level of significant deficiency or material weakness where we felt that any of the funds were misused, but do like to give this as an opportunity to present any recommendations that we have throughout the audit process. So this report does include the contact information of myself and the partner on the engagement. So should you have any questions following this or throughout the course of the year, we'd be happy to address those. And like I said, I'll keep it short and sweet. The student activity funds are a small component of your overall school board audit, which I know you guys will probably be going in a little bit more detail here like next month or early January, February timeframe. So open it to any questions that you all may have.
I don't believe we have any questions at this time, so thank you so much for that report.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, you too. The next item on the information agenda is the proposed capital improvement plan. Dr. Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Before we go into our work session on the capital improvement plan and the presentation, I did want to share some additional information that I wanted to clarify. Actually, I appreciate many of you attending the City Council, the joint meeting with City Council a couple weeks ago, and some questions came up that I would like to address just to make sure that we're all on the same page moving forward. The first item was there was a question at the joint meeting about the final results of the joint facility study that was funded by the city. As a point of clarification, the findings and recommendations from the joint facility study were presented to the City Council and the school board in April of 2021 at a joint meeting that provided valuable information about the current condition of our school buildings and included various recommendations. The final report was also posted on the Chesapeake City website. Since that time, these findings and recommendations have been used to inform the development of our CIP that we present to the board and the community each year. So I just wanted to make that point clear that all of this is available on the city website as well. And of course, board members, you know that you've received a copy of the final report. There was also a question about which project is a top priority for Chesapeake Public Schools. It's important to note that the joint facility study did not prioritize capital improvement projects in any particular order. In tonight's presentation, however, Ms. Stutz and her team will highlight the priority projects for the first year of the CIP. There are also a lot of questions during that meeting about school building capacity and how this is determined. Chesapeake Public Schools utilizes a school capacity methodology that combines the building floor plan and the instructional program being offered in each space in each school to reflect how the building is being used to accommodate the student population's instructional requirements. A lot of people misunderstand how school capacity is factored in. They look at it as a fire code. How many people can you put in the building? It's not as simple as that. We have to look at how the spaces are being used and what programs are being offered in those buildings. The methodology that we use here in Chesapeake is a common and accepted practice in the educational facility planning field, with adjustments made for individual school districts' unique building characteristics, instructional programs, staffing ratios, and policies. CPS regularly consults with similar school districts in our region as well as Northern Virginia to compare our methodologies, and the consultants who did the joint facility study also confirmed the current capacity methodology used in Chesapeake is the correct methodology to use, and that's what they used in the master facilities plan. As noted during the meeting with City Council, portables are not included. Again, I will say portables are not included when we calculate capacity because these are considered temporary spaces, and there's more information that I can provide on that, but we did address that at the meeting a couple of weeks ago. And finally, before we go on to the presentation for tonight, as noted during the City Council meeting, it is clear that we are in need of creative solutions to fund the capital projects outlined in our CIP, and we brought this up at our meeting with City Council. As you are aware, our capital needs are significant. A combination of aging infrastructure, pockets of growth across our area, and the compounding effects of underfunded CIPs over the years, we have reached a point where we need creativity. We need to think creatively about how to identify a funding stream to address these capital projects. This is not just at the local level, at the state level as well. So that's a part of what we discussed a couple of weeks ago. It's important to remember that the consultants were clear that we need at least $34 million each year to address basic major maintenance. And just to give you a comparison, we receive $11 million each year, which we appreciate. But that's a third of what the consultants told us we need just to maintain our buildings. This does not include additional buildings, playgrounds, facilities, and other things that we need to address. So obviously, with that backdrop, I would like to, I wanted to clarify those because some of those comments and questions came up during the City Council meeting, and I don't know that we had a chance to adequately address all of those. But at this point, I'll pass it to Ms. Stutz, who will provide an update for you this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Cotton. As the board will recall, the initial presentation for the superintendent's proposed capital improvement plan for 2024 to 2034 was held at the last school board meeting on October 23rd. Earlier tonight, we did have the first public hearing for the capital improvement plan. Tonight, we will have a presentation with Mr. Bertocchi, and then also a work session to answer any questions you'll have. So, John?
All right, good evening, everyone. As Paige said, tonight we'd like to focus a little more on projects we have underway and projects in year one of the CIP. We'll also look at project needs, increasing costs, funding concerns, and we will review the yearly cost totals as well as the grand total. So first, looking at projects underway. We have middle school projects currently in the design phase at Indian River Middle and Western Branch Middle. This includes furniture replacement, auditorium renovations, painting, chalkboard resurfacing, and restroom improvements. These items that you see listed here in Indian River and Western Branch have already been completed at Crestwood Middle. In addition, at Crestwood Middle, we also replaced the track and did some repaving. The remaining item at Crestwood Middle is window replacement. And it's important to note these improvements are outside the major modernization projects that are in the CIP. We also have initial planning underway for some playground improvements at Butts Road Intermediate, Cedar Road Elementary, Greenbrier Intermediate, and Norfolk Highlands Primary. as well as planning underway for auditorium improvements at Deep Creek Middle, Greenbrier Middle, and Southwestern Elementary. And we also have design work underway for HVAC replacement projects. These will take place next summer at Rena B. Wright, Norfolk Highlands, Sparrow Road, and Georgetown. And the partial HVAC replacement project is ongoing right now at Hickory High School, as well as design work underway for the Portlock primary roof replacement to take place next summer. In addition, we have the design work underway for the 3 major building projects: Crestwood Intermediate School, K-5 replacement building, the design for the Southeastern Building Addition, and design work for the new elementary school at the Culpeper Landing site. So focusing on CIP Year 1 projects, just as a reminder, as Paige mentioned at the previous meeting, we outlined all projects in the first 5 years of the CIP. Appropriations for projects are considered by the City Council each May, and their final appropriation determines the number and scope of projects that can actually be completed. So now we'll take a look at those projects specifically in Year 1. This includes the design for building modifications at the Edwards Wilson Center. Again, our plan is to reuse and readapt that building to move the adult education program from the ESC site to Edwards Wilson once staff from there moves to the new Christina Way Administration Building. We also have construction for the new elementary school at the Culpeper Landing site, as well as design for the work for the Chesapeake Career Center replacement building. It's important to note that to date, $16 million has been allocated for that, for land, design work, or early package. Additionally, we have 5 HVAC replacement projects in the first year of the CIP: Indian River High, Western Branch High, that's chiller work, Jolliffe Middle, Greenbrier Middle, and Thurgood Marshall Elementary. Some of those are partial, some of those are full replacements. 4 roof replacements: Jolliffe Middle School, Great Bridge Middle, Hickory High School, and Crestwood Middle. And repaving at Carver, Great Bridge High, and Greenbrier Primary. So talking a little bit about our CIP project costs, our needs, and our funding concerns. You've heard these 3 points before. We're going to say it one more time. As you know, we have an aging infrastructure that requires regular major maintenance replacement projects like HVAC and roof, like you just saw. And we have pockets in the city where we do have capacity concerns that can require additions or new buildings. Material shortages, inflation, limited labor force has contributed to our rising construction costs. This year's CIP is using a 6% annual inflation factor for each of the 5 years. And we know that current funding sources like lockbox, etc., are not going to be fully able to fully fund our capital projects, which will increase our backlog and ultimate project costs. Finally, looking at each of the 5-year totals, tonight we're concentrating on Year 1, $140,925,500, and a 5-year grand total of $760,774,500. At the next meeting on December 11th, we'll have a public hearing, work session, and request board final action on the CIP. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Ms. Dean?
So just a couple questions. The first one, obviously, since on slides 9 and 10, we talk about all the projects in Year 1 that are unfunded. Is there a prioritization on these? Because they are currently unfunded, and kind of a plan B if we don't get the full amount of funding that we would like for Year 1?
Well, I think that you're talking about the HVAC and roofs and the new schools.
Yep, just everything you have listed for Year 1 proposed.
Right.
CIP project.
We have a lot in Year 1. We realize that all Year 1 projects don't always all get funded. So yeah, we would pick the ones that we think have the most need, if it's an HVAC or roof, and whatever money we have, we'd allocate at those projects first. I don't know that we've outlined which of those projects we think we would do at this point.
For major maintenance, we do try to list the ones that we think are the priority in Year 1. We don't list priority in any other years. But what John is talking about, it is difficult sometimes if you have limited funds. You might have let's just say something's 8 million and you have 4, I might be able to do the third project on the list and not the second project. So we take the $11 million that we get and we planned it appropriately, and that 11 million also, some can be is cash and some is debt, and that also depends what type of project. So we have to look at the funds to see what we can do. But major maintenance for year 1 is listed in priority order.
Okay. For the public hearing, I guess that happened today. What was the attendance like? For the public hearing, did you say there was one today?
It was at this meeting. You had no speaker.
Oh, okay.
Mr. McCormick?
It's somewhat a piggyback on that question. In planning for unfunded projects, you mentioned that, like, for example, the first year of capital improvement projects, it's already assumed that we're not going to have enough funding for all of it, which is a ripple effect when you're looking down 5 and 10 years, and that's going to be an accumulating deficiency. Do we track at what point we need to cut other expenditures in order to fund priority capital improvements, or how do we go into that?
Well, I think everything you see on the capital improvement list, we deem as necessary. So if we have projects that weren't funded, like an HVAC or roof, it certainly doesn't get taken off the list. I mean, we're fixing them as we go. But we don't, for example, I think what you're saying, do we cut the list or narrow the list? We don't really do that because these are needed projects.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's just cueing my inquiry of, Dr. Cott had mentioned creating other revenue sources. I think as a board we'll also need to, in order to fund some of these 5 and 10 years out, is look at our expenditures in other areas and figure out how to prioritize those. Thank you.
Right.
And Mr. McCormick, you'll also notice that when we have year-end savings, we'll apply those towards capital projects, but the challenge there is you can't expect it. Sometimes we do have savings that we comply. You'll see as you go through, I know you've all been through one budget cycle. As you go through this next year, we'll have leftover funds, reversion funds that we can apply towards capital projects. But those are one-time, expenditures that we don't know we're going to get from year to year. So, but when we do get them, we do go to this list and address these projects. And I want to say that, for example, the playgrounds comes to mind. When we had a need for playgrounds, we used $1 million of that to go toward up to 10 playgrounds, for example. We did not have the funding to address the playgrounds until we had savings from the prior year.
And I'll just add a very brief, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Lucente, but it is a little bit challenging to look for significant cost savings to address such a mountain of an issue when you understand that upwards of 80% of our budget is tied to our staff salaries and benefits. So it really forces us, because that's not an area that we're willing to cut in order to make these things happen. So we have to find creative solutions in order to make these things happen, because they are critical. But we're very limited in our options. So we are open to ideas.
And also just keep in mind that a lot of this debt is 20-year debt. Some of the major maintenance is 10, but the others is 20. And Vicki, I don't think we have anything like that in the operating budget other than maybe like a 5-year lease.
No, the only long-term debt we have in the operating budget is school bus leases, and that's permitted by the state code. Other than debt on vehicles, which are operating budget expenses, these costs, because they're over $100,000, go into the capital improvement plan and the capital improvement budget, which is funded exclusively right now through either the lockbox allocation, which the city determines what that allocation is going to be each year, or, as Dr. Cotton said, our own actual over budget or our reversions. So we have in the past used that for operating when the economic downturn came, but historically we use that for one-time expenditures like capital improvement. So right now, those are the 3 main sources that we have. So, and you're right, to take it out of the operating budget would decimate staffing, really, because you still have to have things like your utilities and your legal bills and your debt service payments that are in the operating budget for buses and vehicles.
Dr. Walker?
Yes, I just have one quick question. When it comes to the transition to our K-5 buildings, our first step, and that is Crestwood, I know. I want to just make sure I didn't miss anything. Does that mean BM Williams is good to go? I know it's a lot easier to transition a primary school to K-5 than intermediate, but is there anything that needs to be done to BM Williams, or is it?
We'll be looking at that, some minor building modifications we have to do to accommodate K through 5 at that building.
Okay.
Things like equipment, furniture,
Painting.
restrooms, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And y'all have already, we've got 3.2 million already set aside to do some work over there.
Okay, yeah, that's why I wasn't sure. I thought I saw something about it at some point, but okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mercer?
Well, first I want to apologize to my board members that I wasn't able to be at the city council school board meeting. I had a family commitment that I had to do, and I know all of you understood that. But I wish I had been there because, you know, some of this I understand a little bit just because osmosis. I've been around a little while, the capital budget itself being funded, we certainly can find some money sometimes if we've done okay at the end for a project or two, but there are one-time projects. And when we start talking about the lockbox, lockbox has been a wonderful thing, but we're talking that lockbox actually is funded not from capital money, but it's funded from money that is recurring money that comes into the general fund that was set aside by the direction of city council years ago to fund capital projects. And in turn, that really took away money from the general budget that could have been used for teacher salaries and other things. And that needs to be said time and time again, that money really was general fund budget that's now in that lockbox. We also need some state funding. But the problem with the state is sometimes they give and sometimes they give it away. And I'll give you an example. Grassville Elementary School was funded to begin with by state lottery money until a new administration and a new legislature came in and they decided they weren't going to use that money. And we were left standing holding the bag, having to find the money from the lockbox, which really overextended our lockbox obligation because the state took away that money. So I could go on and tell you some more stories, but that's part of the problem that we face, and we don't just face it. Ms. Stutz had a wonderful piece in the article in the Virginian Pilot this Sunday. I hope somebody read it. I don't know that too many people read the paper anymore, but where it was talking about aging schools. And one of the things that she pointed out was the age of these schools. We think of Chesapeake as a young city. I just had my 50th anniversary of graduating from Indian River High School. That Indian River Middle School you're talking about is over 55 years old and has not had a major renovation to it. And what we're talking about in this situation is a facelift. I mean, to the outside, but not that major renovation. These are things to be able to keep it to function until we can do that modernization that takes place. And Indian River High School is 52 years old because I was the first class that went there full time at the Indian River School. And it's had some modernization, but still the roofs are going in. Hickory High School, I went on the board 27 years ago, and that was when Hickory High School opened up. And we think of Hickory High School as a new school. Think about that, 27 years, and it's having so that's natural, it's going to have some roof problems. So folks, we're getting old. And with that getting old comes some needs, not just to build new schools, although we're going to do that at Culpeper, we're going to do it at Crestwood Middle School for new school, but also to take care of the things that we've done. Now you can either do that or pay the price. There are 3 schools in this area. I know I'm getting into a preaching. Let me finish this one, and I'll stop. But I want to give you an awesome situation to think about. And if anybody on council is listening, because this is the telltale. There were 3 schools that were built at the same time. Great Bridge High School, which is the middle school today, Crestwood High School, which is Crestwood Middle School today, and Churchland High School. The city of Chesapeake took care reasonably well of those 2 schools, Crestwood and Great Bridge. You go by Churchland today, it no longer exists because they let it go to waste. They let it go into disrepair. And that's what we're facing now. If the city doesn't come to the table with money and the state doesn't come to the table with money, we're looking at problems. Thus ends the sermon, excuse me.
I see no additional comments at this time. Thank you, Mr. Bertocchi.
Thank you.
The last item on the information agenda is the Empower 2025 update. Dr. Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Chair Swigert, Vice Chair Mercer, members of the board. Again, tonight I just want to discuss our vision for the upcoming school year. I want to highlight several things that we're working on. Many of those I hope you're already aware of, but just to let you know what we're focusing on for this upcoming school year. We have a clear and focused plan for 23-24 that prioritizes student success and academic excellence. So let's dive right into the specifics of our goals and initiatives. Please keep in mind this is a high-level overview. There's a lot more work my staff likes to remind me that's going on this coming year. But these are just a handful of highlights that I want to bring to your attention and bring to the community's attention. Our first goal centers on academic excellence, and of course you all know our strategic plan. That's our first goal under this strategic plan, Empower 2025. We're honing in on core subjects, reading, math, and science, and we are committed to continuous improvement in student performance in these critical areas. We are offering incentives to students who participate in industry credential assessments, and we are expanding CTE, or Career and Technical Education opportunities, through hands-on learning activities and career exploration at the elementary and middle school level. What we've discovered is start early and get the students interested in future careers, and that's been a focus for the last few years. Next, I'll highlight our initiatives aimed at increasing our graduation rates. We are exploring additional strategies to support students through graduation and revamping our summer school model. We're carefully selecting schools for remediation based on multiple factors, not just academics, and we're providing practical support for instructional leadership at each of our schools. In addition, our initiatives to enhance student success, we're equally committed to optimizing our workforce, which you know is so important. We understand the significance of a smooth onboarding process for our employees, and we are launching a program that streamlines this process. Our commitment to employee well-being and satisfaction extends to our benefits enhancements. We will be conducting a dependent and claims audit, as we've shared with the board previously, to ensure the efficiency and effectiveness of our benefits programs. We're also in the process of developing guiding principles to maintain best-in-class benefits for our valued employees. In addition, we are working to streamline our processes through the implementation of a new HR payroll system. And I want to tell you that there's a lot involved in that, and several departments are involved in moving in that direction. One of our key initiatives under Goal 2 is the implementation of the CPS Grow Our Own program. This program is designed to support aspiring teachers and administrators who are currently employed by CPS in other roles. We also plan to launch our district-wide instructional and leadership coaching model that provides personalized guidance and mentorship, and our employees will have access to ongoing professional development. In addition, we are providing professional development and learning opportunities for early innovators, focusing on progressive methodologies such as responsive classrooms, the Modern Classroom Project, which we have 3 of our middle schools participating in this year, and other student-led initiatives. Under Goal 3, which is probably our most hefty goal, where we find safety and overall administration of our schools, safety strategy principals undergoing training in school safety. Obviously, our principals have been involved in lots of school training this past year, and they will continue to be doing that. We are also providing flip charts for classrooms that will keep safety procedures easily accessible to our teachers for a quick reference. I just heard teachers tell me they've been arriving in their classrooms just recently. Substitute teachers will also be required to review an online school safety module during onboarding. We shared a snippet of that video with many of you. In addition, we have implemented the R-School scheduler for better tracking of facility usage, and we are monitoring the new safety initiatives at the elementary level, including the additional SSOs and the Sheriff Deputies program, to determine potential expansion of the program. We're also taking a proactive approach to student behavior with a reformed in-school suspension model. We had a presentation on that a couple meetings ago. and the implementation of a drug and alcohol prevention program conducted by our student engagement counselors. As discussed in previous school board meetings, we are initiating student ID badges at the elementary level. I understand they're being distributed maybe as we speak, but I know this week. And we've been working to improve our Bus Hub app, and we hope to provide an update on that soon. Furthermore, MTSS coaches and principals are working closely to address academic and behavior challenges, and the introduction of attendance teams highlights our commitment to supporting student engagement. We have a number of technology initiatives noted on this slide. I won't go through all of them, but some of them include the cross-departmental initiatives. For example, we are working to streamline the employee onboarding process, as we talked about. We want to make it easy for people to apply to our schools, and that's something the team has been working on diligently. We want to support our staff through the new learning management system, Canvas, as you know, has been implemented this year. We're implementing a new assessment program, our management system, to help teachers create just-in-time assessments to monitor student progress, and we're also upgrading security cameras. We are committed to improving our facilities. Therefore, we're renovating HVAC systems and playgrounds in several schools to ensure a comfortable and engaging learning environment for students. We've also, as you heard, implemented furniture upgrades at Indian River Middle and Western Branch Middle to support 21st century learning environments. We just did this at Crestwood Middle School recently. This year, construction will begin on Southeastern Elementary's addition and the Crestwood Intermediate replacement and conversion to a K-5. In addition, the relocation of the school administration building to Christina Way should be completed by this summer. Partnerships are essential, and this year we have launched the Peak Parent University, an opportunity for parents to engage in educational offerings that will empower them as partners in their students' educational journey. And we are introducing the Family Welcome Support Center at Oscar Smith Middle School, designed for our English learner families to connect with resources and individualized assistance. Additionally, we are offering professional development opportunities that equip our administrators and school staff with the key skills needed to strengthen partnerships with families. And we're also expanding our outreach, making volunteering more accessible. To continue our efforts to engage and inform our community, we've created Amplified, a podcast that shares valuable insights, stories, and updates. We are also expanding our reach through the promotion of our new school app, a valuable resource for families to stay up to date on district news and events. Equally as important, we are going to conduct an audit of our internal communication systems to improve efficiency and effectiveness. That's a lot. So in closing, I want to emphasize that these initiatives are goals and not just words on a screen. They represent our commitment to success of our students. With the dedication of our educators and the support of our staff and the partnership of our community, we are confident in our ability to make a positive impact in the lives of our students this year. So I'm happy. I know I threw a lot at you, but we have a lot that we're working on, and I just wanted to highlight some of those major initiatives. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I see no questions at this time, Dr. Cotton. Thank you. There being no items on the action agenda, we will now move on to the superintendent's report. Back to you, Dr. Cotton.
Back again. November is Family Engagement Month and Native American Heritage Month. And as a reminder, schools and offices will be closed Wednesday, November 22nd through Friday, November 24th for the Thanksgiving holiday. I don't think anyone needs that reminder. But lastly, I look forward to seeing you all at the Teacher of the Year ceremony and reception, which will be held at Indian River High School on December 7th at 6:30 p.m. With that, I'd like to share my spotlight for this month. Thank you again for the opportunity to share my spotlight. As we enter into November and a time of Thanksgiving, there are so many things that I'm grateful for as your superintendent. Our students, staff, and communities continue to do incredible things, and I'm excited to share some of them with you tonight. One of those many things we're grateful for continues to be our outstanding community partnerships that support our efforts to inspire, engage, and empower our students to fulfill their life's purpose. This was on full display at the end of October with our second annual Worlds of Work Career Expo. The event allowed every 8th grader in the city to attend featured vendors at Tyree Community College that provided interactive hands-on demonstrations in career fields, including information technology, public safety, surveying, physical therapy, architecture, and so much more. I had the opportunity to stop by and try a few out, and it was clear the students were having fun and learning at the same time. Several of our board members were there as well. This event would not have been possible without the generous support from the City of Chesapeake, the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce, Dollar Bank, and numerous other local and regional employers who either sponsored or attended the event. I'd also like to thank our Department of College and Career Readiness for their efforts to make this event such an overwhelming success again this year. Another recent event that was a huge success was our college fair at Indian River High School. Over 60 colleges and universities were on hand to meet with prospective students. The Access College Foundation also participated and provides students with their families with valuable financial information and resources. It's college application season, so we wish the best to all of our seniors making their post-graduation plans. We continue to be blown away by the ways in which our community actively supports our schools. One great example for me to share with you tonight is at Rena B. Wright Primary, their Zen Den. The Mount Church and a retailer, A. Dodson's, teamed up to create a beautiful, relaxing space for the faculty there. Take a look.
Oh my goodness! It's so... look at this!
So we're here in our new Zen Den that we've created for our staff here at Rena B. Wright Primary. The goal is just to really provide a place for any staff member just to come and have a break, because sometimes things can get hectic in the classroom. I think this room is just one important step that we've taken as an administration here at Rena B. Wright to show our staff that they matter to us and that we're pouring back into them everything that they pour out into our students.
Oh my. I'm afraid somebody's gonna come in here and fall asleep at the end of the day. Oh, this chair is wonderful.
I started looking for some community partnerships and mentioned the idea to one of our instructional coaches, Christy Hanna. She solicited some partnerships from local businesses like A. Dodson's and the Mount Chesapeake.
So I own a local retail store that's been in business for about 20 years. So we got a phone call from one of the teachers here at the school saying, you know, can you help? And that's why we're here. Took a lot of products from our store. We painted the walls. We hung up baskets. When we're able to kind of come in and really make a difference in a community or on a project like this, it really energizes my staff to be able to give back in that manner.
These are on timers, so if you...
It's a true gift. Somebody to just acknowledge that they care enough to do something for us, it makes a big difference.
See this? It has this really great fold-down feature. This. Wow. Cell phone, both types of ports here, and then you can have your little coffee cup right.
Just believe in the system that we have in place here and believe in the city of Chesapeake. So it was really important to find a way to give back.
Spaces like this are just one of the many ways our schools look to provide support to our current educators. But as you all know, we also continue to look for creative ways to recruit exceptional new teachers. I was recently able to meet some of these up-and-coming educators at our student-teacher meet and greet event held at Indian River High School. The Department of Human Resources hosted the opportunity for current student teachers from across the area. It gave them an opportunity to hear from current teachers and district leaders about their experiences with Chesapeake Public Schools and to meet with principals who were arm wrestling, if I'm being honest, over who was going to be hired. And we have immediate openings in our schools ready to fill with these recent graduates. We know that many of them are already doing an excellent job in their classrooms, so certainly we hope the event helps solidify their decision to choose Chesapeake upon completion of their degree program. Another great initiative held at several of our elementary schools recently was the With You All the Way tour. The presentation is led by the Comfort Crew for Military Kids, co-founder and best-selling children's author and illustrator Trevor Romaine. Since 2010, the tour has visited over 350,000 military-connected kids in over 16 countries. The goal is to provide valuable strategies for all students to help them deal with challenges ranging from relocations to friendships to homework. Supporting our military-connected students through programs like this is always a priority for our district, and so is supporting and recognizing the service and sacrifice of their families. That was on full display just last week as our schools celebrated Veterans Day. I was able to stop by and join Hickory Elementary School at their Veterans Day breakfast and parade. Grassfield High School also honored veterans with their Field of Valor. We hope that all of our military community members felt our appreciation for their service. Congratulations to Martin and Alice Glasgow. The pair will be inducted into the Virginia Band and Orchestra Directors Association Hall of Fame on Friday, November 17th at a reception during the VMEA conference in Richmond. The Glasgows, many of you know them and have heard their name, were longtime staples of the music community here in Chesapeake and are being honored for their contributions to the growth and development of instrumental music. So congratulations to the Glasgows. To close tonight, I'd like to send a huge congratulations to the champions of our newest middle school sports. This year, we added boys and girls soccer and baseball to the Chesapeake Middle School League programs. Board members, special thanks to you all for this great initiative that we put in place this year. Congratulations to Jolliffe Middle School for winning the inaugural girls soccer championship in a tight 1-0 match against Hickory. And I think if you look closely, you may see a Lamonia in that picture. And to the Hickory Middle for clinching the inaugural baseball title in their matchup against the Bruins. And we look forward to seeing the boys soccer take the field this spring. Congratulations to all of our student athletes and coaches for a great season. With that, that completes my spotlight for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Cotton. Last on our agenda this evening is board member items. Does any board member have an item to bring before the group? Dr. Walker.
Yeah, Dr. Cotton just kind of spoke on this in his spotlight, but I just wanted to say that the Worlds of Work event was awesome. And it was one of my favorite things that I've been to so far. And I just really appreciate not only Chesapeake Public Schools and our Department of College and Career Readiness, but all of our sponsors, employers, vendors, et cetera, who were there to prioritize that, because that's when real learning happens. And it was just amazing to see all our students so engaged in the hands-on career expo. So thanks to everyone who was involved.
Seeing no other board member comments, we would like to wish a very happy birthday later this week to Dr. Brian Austin. And with that, I will call this meeting adjourned.